You know how like wait,
influence.
hold on. No, like seriously, you know how like you go to like staff meetings and you got that one person you can't sit next to? Yeah,
That's
man.
your mom
That's
in
my
church?
mom in church. Like she's not she's supposed to be one that's supposed to be hitting me when I act up in church. And she's the one over there sitting next to me and being all making me laugh on purpose. I'm not kidding. I can't. This is why when we go to functions, I cannot sit next to her, near her, or even look at her because she will do something on purpose to make me start laughing. Like when we went to Jamie's wedding in December.
Uh-huh.
During the ceremony, she started saying something and started making me laughing just to see if she
could.
She's bad.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of From Art to Atoms,
The Ultimate Curiosity Show.
I'm Brandon.
This is Michael.
And this is a special one for us because this is our season 1 finale show.
Is it episode number 30?
It is episode number 30.
Yes.
Yes.
We knew y'all would be sticking around this long with us when we started this adventure in September?
Right?
August?
Yeah, in September. It was on my birthday. September 5th was release of episode 1. Here we are 30 episodes later. And
planning season 2 right now, too.
Yeah, for all 4 of our listeners. But we appreciate every single one of you.
We sure do.
We do it for the 4 of you and for ourselves because
yes,
it's fun.
It's not just that. We do it for other reasons too.
Oh, yeah.
We do it because if something should happen to one of us one day, there's always going to be
this indelible
us
artifact
Yep.
of us.
It's us.
But you know what? I mean, honestly, though, that's the thing. Did you know there's a whole project called StoryCorps that does that, and I think they have booths in large cities where
You can record.
Yeah, you go in like with your grandmother or your child or somebody, and and you have a little conversation, like a 5-minute conversation and stuff. And they occasionally air them on PBS, NPR, and on Sirius weekends. Anyway, doesn't matter.
Abdi.
So Michael has just finished up a very busy week.
We just wrapped up on Shrek.
Yes, I still am looking at a green outlined elderly Peter Pan.
I was gonna say, to be fair, I was not Shrek.
No. He was green for other reasons. He was green for being Peter Pan.
Yeah, I was a 35-year-old Peter who has been pulled out of Neverland and now sent to live in the swamp.
35. More like 45.
In the show, he says 35.
I know. You could pass. Well, if you got rid of the gray in your beard.
Not with these bags under my eyes. I'm not passing for nothing.
Well, I was trying to be nice, okay?
No, be realistic. Yeah, so I just finished up my run on Peter Pan. We did 4 shows this weekend. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I had a matinee today, and we started early March, I think.
It wasn't long.
Auditions were early March, and they also keep in mind that we had just moved into a brand new building. Yeah, 3 weeks ago, maybe 4 weeks ago.
Well, okay, moved in as in you started actually rehearsing there, but it was not finished 3 weeks ago.
No, we did not have sound and we did not have projections or anything like that. No lights and stuff like that were still being installed. Curtain.
I was about to say.
I remember when we went in the first day, curtains were not even up yet. We were still dealing with that, and a lot of the shop tools, none of that's been moved in. So like it's like bare bones still.
Yeah.
And to be fair, they also did A Few Good Men. They wrapped up A Few Good Men 2 weeks ago. So that was going on at the same time that Shrek was going on.
That sounds like some crazy scheduling that I would do.
Yes. Our director obviously wanted to go ahead and give himself a heart attack. But so we finished the first musical in the brand new building, and Brandon went to see it today.
Yeah.
With all of my posse, I guess. Book club peeps and Jessica and Corey. Cassie said she was there.
Oh, was she?
Yeah.
Cool.
I wish I had known that she was there. I would have introduced her.
I was about to say, yeah, I'd like to have met her.
Yeah.
And Kinsey Kane. Kinsey, who was guest on the podcast previously.
The assistant director at Brandon's school. So yeah, it was nice. It was good. It's a good run.
Yeah.
And part of the reasons why I do that kind of stuff, I enjoy being on the stage with the kids, is they get to see us in a different light. We're not the teacher. They get to see us as people. Yeah. And like one of our kids said that today, because Marissa was talking to me. She played Queen Lillian. And so she was my queen to my king Harold, Fiona's dad.
Your stage wife.
Yes. Yes. And so one of our Fiona's, like, this is backstage while the speech is going on and we're standing in the dark on stage waiting to get started. And we're just talking. And she referred to me as, Marissa referred to me as Michael. And our Fiona, who was one of our high school juniors, is like, I forget y'all have lives outside of school. She's like, I had to think about who Michael was at first. We're like, yeah, we kind of do. But it's nice to see, it's nice for them to see us not like that. And, you know, being in the role of like Peter Pan, I get to be funny and playful and stuff like that. And, you know, and this is a really large cast, like I said. So one of the other reasons why I enjoy doing it is because I get to see and meet kids that I'll have next year and in 2 years. And they already know me. I kind of already know them. So it's kind of like a good relationship building thing. Yeah. Future, I guess, investment. Yeah. So plus it's just fun.
Yeah. I really wish I had more opportunity to perform with my kids, but it's when you're director, it's a little different because a lot of times it comes across as egotistical if you cast yourself in things.
I think a small role, like because like what our director did, he was in the show today.
Oh, was he?
Yeah. He was the bunny when Shrek and Donkey are walking on the travel song or whatever like that. The big bunny that came through and Donkey's like, oh, look, that's a cute little bunny. And Shrek goes, looks kind of good. And when the bunny hears that, he screams and runs off the stage. Oh, that was him.
I heard, can I be honest? I had the projection that was going during that scene was making me sick.
Oh, because it was the moving.
Yeah. And so I literally had to put my head down and just not look. But I heard that line.
Yeah, that was the director. And he did that. Yeah. And then the music director was one of the other. She was Puss in Boots in that too.
Oh, okay.
And then she was also the cow who ran across, and then she was also the spoon, and the director was the dish.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, they did small things like that. Obviously, something that they could not really, you know, it didn't take much to get into a costume, and it did not take much away from their duties. So you could always do that.
Yeah. Well, and I always try to. Oh God, I got to figure out what me and Kinsey are going to do in the award show this year because that's coming up soon.
I'll be a part of your award show for you.
Okay.
I'll return to the stage.
But yeah, she and I've got to get on that and decide what we're gonna do in it because we have not made that decision.
So my week has been busy last week, but then your week is about to really kick off because y'all are heading to New York on Wednesday.
Yeah. So when this podcast drops, I will be in New York City for the second day. Yeah, we're leaving early Wednesday morning. We got to be at the airport at like 5:00. And we fly out and we'll spend 4 days basically in New York City. We're going to see 3 shows. The new Stranger Things play that's on stage, Stranger Things First Shadow, I think, or something like that. There's a Netflix documentary that's like behind the scenes about it, but I haven't watched it and I'm not going to watch it until after I see the show because I don't want any spoilers. So we're seeing that. And then we're seeing Moulin Rouge with Jordan Fisher. And so that's, I think, our second night show, or is that our third night show? I forget. And then we're also seeing Death Becomes Her with Megan Hilty, which is going to be great.
I've heard that's really good.
Yeah, it's gotten great reviews. You've seen the movie, right?
Yeah. I've seen some of the scenes that they've been posting online too. Yeah. Like there's the one scene where the shooting scene where she comes back in from getting shot right through the chest or whatever and comes in with the hole.
Oh, I've not seen that yet. I've been trying to like avoid any videos of it and stuff like that. The only thing that I've seen is how they do the falling down the stairs.
Yeah. Very slowly, gymnast. Like the acrobatics basically of it.
Yeah, they have a gymnast that basically stands in and does it for her. But
yeah, just so you know, in case you don't know, Brandon takes his theater kids on a yearly trip to New York City so they can experience Broadway. Yeah.
And all kinds of other things in the city. We go to see shows. We go to some museums and things like that. This year they're actually getting to do a masterclass at the American Academy of Dramatic Arts, which is one of the top conservatory programs and bachelor programs in the country for theater arts. So we've got a lot of theater majors going who are seniors that are going to be majoring in theater next year at their respective colleges. So they're really looking forward to that. I know.
It's great for a resume too.
Yeah, definitely. So we do things like that. And we're going to have lunch with my friend Cam, who is a Broadway performer, and they're going to pick her brain and hopefully not just annoy her.
I know your kids are going to annoy her.
Well, yeah, but let's be fair. They'd annoy her if she were just, Joe Schmo off the street. But yeah, so we're looking forward to that. It's a big group. We've got 26 in total, I believe, traveling with us.
How many did y'all have last year?
I think it was 24 last year. So it was not too much smaller. But that's our total group size, like with adults included, not just the kids. I think we've got 20 kids traveling.
Still a large group.
Yeah. So yeah, that's my week coming up. So after we left the show today, Kenzie and I were both like, oh, we really have to go to school Monday and Tuesday.
You really do.
We're just ready to go. We're ready for Wednesday so that we can, just hit the road or hit the skies. So back to the podcast. What we're actually talking about today.
Okay, so this week's episode. So when I was in Austin, for a Kylie Minogue's concert, but then I think we'd already talked about conversation about the topic, right? And I think Thomas and I went to the largest independent bookstore in Texas.
Oh, is that what it is?
Book people. Cool. And so they have a really good science section. So I just kind of went up there, just kind of browsing and stuff like that.
Well, and now even before that, though, you were kind of inspired onto this topic because of that.
Yeah, the book I'm going to talk about today. Right.
Yeah.
And so what we got on the topic, and I started sending some pictures to Brandon of some possible books that I was like, he's like, ooh, get that one for me. And I was like, yeah,
we had he showed me like, I think 6 or 7 books in total. And I was like, get them all.
Yeah. And I was like, no. He's like, get them all for me. I want to read them. And I'm like, no, you find your own books. These are for me. And then, I finished my book that I'm going to talk about today on the trip. And so then Brandon was able to go ahead and grab the one he's going to talk about that I picked up at the bookstore while in Austin.
A couple of them.
I am going to read. I'll admit, I did not read either one of those yet.
Yeah.
Because I've been with the show. And so while he's out of town, I'm going to read up on those.
Don't bother with the second one. There's just one chapter you need to
about
understand.
The memory book.
Yeah. It was just very, it was interesting content, but it was just so dryly written.
Yeah.
Very clinical.
And so the one he's going to talk about today was the one I kind of caught my eye on it because we had already talked about consciousness.
Yeah. Sorry. So our topic today is consciousness. We never said that.
We're so excited about it.
I know.
But so I will read that one this week. No, I have book club book to finish first, and then I'm going to read that one.
So the book that one that he keeps talking about is the book Being You by Anil Seth.
He's a neuroscientist, and it's a just from the cover itself, because the cover was the eyeball.
Yeah, the iris.
Yes.
Eye, yeah.
It was just very interesting to look at. I was like, dude, this is going to be perfect for the podcast to go ahead and talk about. And Brandon and I are both kind of big on books that are kind of
nerdy,
not self-help, but more reflective.
Yeah.
I guess, we try to understand.
Introspective.
Right. And so I knew that he would like that one. So that's kind of why I was like, okay, this is good. I think that was the first book I sent a picture of.
It was, yeah.
Because I knew he was going to like that one right off the bat. So he will talk about that book. Now, my book is called, so I ended up getting my school, we had some Title I money, and I was able to go ahead and grab, I think, 11 books. 2 copies of 11 books for my classroom. Just at the end of the year, we had like some extra funding that we had to get rid of before a certain time period. So I was like, get me some science books. So I went ahead and got a book called The Soul of an Octopus, A Surprising Exploration into the Wonder of Consciousness by Sy Montgomery. And so that'll be my book that I talk about and kind of give you is it introspective or retrospective of it?
A review.
There you go. And not so much, a review of the book, but not so much that, but how it connects to consciousness, like the reflective, I guess. Because my book itself was more of a narrative.
Yeah.
As opposed to, and I read the first chapter of Being You, which, like you said, it's very scientific. Like I told Brandon throughout the week, I was listening to it, and I was like, I can't listen to any more of it because there's so many.
You have to concentrate.
Yes, there's so much terminology on it that I will need to I can't drive and listen to it.
Yeah.
That I have to sit down and actually like.
The way Michael likes to just listen to audiobooks as he drives, whereas I will listen to an audiobook and read along with it because that speeds up my reading pace significantly. And so even reading along with it with the audio, I found myself frequently having to pause, back up.
I was gonna say I haven't listened to it multiple times for me. I just know I'm gonna have to.
Yeah, and the diagrams are like essential for understanding some of the things that he's talking about.
Right. Whereas my book, like I said, so I read in the car.
Yeah.
Hold on. I don't read in the car. I listen to it while it's being read to me.
Yeah.
Usually on the way. You know, we've talked about this with books before.
Yeah.
Usually I do this on my way to work. I have a 25-minute, 30-minute commute one way. And so I can get an hour
I made that
of reading
commute today in 15 minutes. I was way early just because of my lead foot.
Okay, well, I like to take my time. I mean,
he drives like a grandpa.
First of all, let me say this. If I'm going to work, do you really want to speed to go to work?
I do every day.
Well, that's because
most of America does.
No. That's because you sleep later than me. Like I'm just I take my time.
You get up early enough so that you can.
I take my time.
The rest of the world, we're like, crap, I'm late.
Okay, well, I don't.
All right. Anyway, but we digress.
So with that said, my book, The Soul of an Octopus, was a very, like I said, narrative read, very, very nice read. I mean, it was very easy to keep up pace. And I will say I cried at the end of this book.
Yeah,
I did. The way, and it was written in 2015 or I think it's 2015, but the story itself takes place. Page. Well, no, I am. But the story itself, I think like what she's talking about happened in about 11 or something.
Okay. So give us a quick rundown.
Hold on.
What? Sorry. You need your readers, Grandpa?
It's blurry.
In all fairness, that could be partially because of the makeup.
It's not. But thanks for giving me that.
You want me to go get my dad's readers?
No, it's 2015. Look at the 5 on that.
Look at the 5 on that. He's squinting at me. Yeah, it's just got it's one of those. It's got a descender on it. But.
I know. Well, I mean, to me, that looks like a 3. It's 2015. Yeah.
I will say that my eyes are getting worse as I get older in terms of reading up close.
I just want to point out, my optometrist said when I went last summer to get my eyes checked, I said, do I need a new prescription for my glasses? He said, no, you should be fine this year. Just know that I anticipate next year you will need a new prescription because at 45, just the lens itself, the very nature of the lens itself.
At 45, everything goes to pot.
That's basically what he said. He said the lens itself actually does something at 45. It's just a natural progression of the lens not being able to bend the way it does normally. So you will need a new prescription next year. He said, I can guarantee you it happens to everybody. I'm like, okay, so I'm banking on that's my problem right now.
So then do I need to wait? So if I'm considering LASIK, should I wait till after 45?
Yeah, I would wait.
Okay.
I wait. And you know,
luckily I've still got a few years before that hits. So.
I only have like less than 20 days.
I was about to say like 15 days.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know, they had that study that said that aging happens rapidly at 2 different points in your life. It happens at 45 and at 60.
Oh God, really?
Yeah. So something happens.
I'm going to die.
Yeah. I mean, if you're already falling apart and you're not 45, 45 is going to be your new 60.
I'm going to die.
Count your time now, friend. And then someone who I see this on, or someone said it on the radio. They said that you think about this, 2025, we are just as close to 2050 as we are to 2000.
Yeah,
right now.
I know.
Like, damn, 2050, I'm going to be 70 years old.
Tweet.
We're going to be on season 30. Still rocking this podcast.
No, that'll be season 25.
26.
Well, 26. Okay, yeah.
26. Well, look, and I'll tell you what, if we can do that, then we do it. We're going to retire from this podcast because after about 30 years, we're done for retirement.
Yeah. Maybe by then we'll actually be getting paid for it.
We'll pass it on to somebody else. We'll give it to Kenzie.
There you go.
Anyway, so back to I think we've lost our consciousness.
Right.
I don't think they want us talking about this. We're that crazy tonight.
Well, that takes me to an interesting point to be made about consciousness.
Okay.
So, I get we need to start out with the question of, what is consciousness exactly? So, consciousness is the name that we give to our own awareness
of ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, not that's self-consciousness, which is different from consciousness. Luca is a dog who is conscious and has consciousness, but he does not have self-consciousness. He is not metacognitive.
He is too. Have you met? Look at him. He knows.
He
knows.
He doesn't pass the self-consciousness test, which is essentially like recognizing oneself in a mirror. But, consciousness itself is essentially an enigma still to science.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why it fascinates me.
Yeah.
Because, essentially the book opens with an interesting fact, which is that when you've been under anesthesia before.
Yeah, you were there for me when I got my wisdom teeth out.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dino.
Have you ever had any other surgeries besides that?
No, that was the only one.
Okay.
The only one that I've had to have be under.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I've had 3 in total, and then plus my wisdom teeth makes 4. But I'll say my wisdom teeth, I was semi-conscious in the middle of that because I remember hearing the doctor and the assistant talking.
Not me. That was the best sleep of my life.
But before that, I'd had 3 different surgeries from when I was a kid, and each time I was put under. And what happens when we are under anesthesia is essentially it's like turning a switch off on our consciousness. It's not like sleep.
We get turned off. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not like sleep. We literally get turned off like a power switch.
Yep.
And, if any of you who have ever had surgery before and been under anesthesia, as long as it wasn't like mine was with the wisdom teeth, you count backwards from 100 and get to like 98, and then you wake up. Like there's no sense of elapsed
It was like
time.
5 minutes of time had passed for me. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and really that 5 minutes of time is that 2 seconds passing out and the time it takes you to really fully come to.
Yeah.
So,
and that's what he says. He says under general anesthesia, things are different. I could have been under for 5 minutes, 5 hours, 5 years, or even 50. And under doesn't quite express it. I am simply not there.
Yeah.
A premonition of a total oblivion of death, and in its absence of anything, a strangely comforting one.
Yeah. Which when I read that, and I don't believe this, I believe, in an afterlife and everything, but, it did make me feel like if, all our beliefs are totally bubkiss, then okay, that's fine. That was a nice relaxing.
I mean, that's why they call it eternal sleep.
Yeah. But like I said, that's not really ever really what I believe. So, but what?
Yeah, no, we believe that once you die, you don't get to sleep.
No, your work's just getting started.
It's just more and more adventures.
But I found that interesting because, the fact that anesthesia essentially turns an off switch.
Yeah. It's not even turning the brain off. It's just a void.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but that sense, and if you've never been under anesthesia, then you don't really have that perception to understand it. But, it's fascinating to really think about. But when we talk about our consciousness, what we are essentially, and this is something that I have always been fascinated by, and I always have brought up to my students before when I've taught different genres that deal with the nature of reality, because essentially, when our consciousness is all we have sense of, we are trapped by our own perception in our own brain. And so we have the perception of the outside world, but our consciousness is essentially locked inside our own brain, and we have no reference point other than that. So I always, when I'm talking to my students about this, how do you know what the red that you see is the same thing that red looks like to somebody sitting next to you?
Right. Yeah. No. And so that is basically just input into your senses.
Yeah.
You're taking everything in from the outside world and making sense of that. And that's what your brain does. It takes it's not impulses, it's stimulus.
Yeah.
The stimulus from the outside world and making sense of that.
Yeah.
And it's not just making sense. Like you were saying with red, your red is different because my exposure to red is interpreted a different way.
Yeah.
So.
And it's just, it's we have no way of seeing that through somebody else's eyes. And so it really does strike at the axiom that has, been long stated, but this book talked about at length, is the fact that perception is reality. What reality is to us is only what we perceive through the senses. And we talk about, and you, I'm sure, of course, know that there are more than just 5 senses, right? Yeah. So we've got, what are you laughing at?
I just thought about the red conversation about your red is different than my red. My red is definitely different than Thomas's red. There's blood, Michael.
Oh,
blood. Thomas sees blood red.
Do you want to tell that story?
So Thomas was in California. I think his dad either passed away. I think his dad had passed away and he went back for the funeral.
That's not what we're laughing at.
No. And so his stepmom, he was staying a couple of days to help her deal with things. And he was flying out from California, I think at like 7 or 8 in the morning. And I was going to pick him up in the evening. Well, he calls me at like midnight my time. So was that like 10 his time in California, I guess?
Yeah, I don't know math.
And so he's like, Karen just fell. She was drinking some wine and she just fell. And there's blood everywhere, Michael. And I was like, well, Thomas, what do you want me to do? I'm in bed sleeping. I mean, I'm all the way out in Texas and you're in California. He's like, I don't think you understand, Michael. There's blood, Michael. Blood. And I was like, okay, Cletus, calm down. So that's where that story comes from. So if you Megan Martin, I swear that'll be our joke from this day on, whatever. But we make fun of that all the time with Thomas. Anyway, that's what we're laughing at because he was like freaking out. I was like, "What do you want me to do about it?" I mean, call 911. Like he's like, "I did, and I'm cleaning up this blood, Michael. There's blood," and I'm like, "Okay, chill out. Just make sure you're on the plane because you have no other option. You need to get to the airport somehow. Call an Uber." Okay, back to our consciousness.
Okay,
Go.
So we have our 5 senses that we all learn about in school, which is visual, auditory, gustatory, tactile, kinesthetic, and olfactory.
Okay. And for those of you who are not scientifically inclined, that is sight, smell, hearing, touch, and taste.
Yes. But I thought they might like to know the proper terms. Just like proprioception.
Now, who to what?
Which is body awareness, a sense of where the body is in space.
You don't have that at all.
No.
That's why you be running into stuff all the time.
My sense of proprioception is very poor.
That's how you got your nickname.
What nickname? Proprioception blind? What?
Baby Huey.
Oh, shut up.
That's why we call you that, because you run into everything. You don't realize your own body perception. You don't. That's why we call you that.
I know.
It's not because you're shaped like Baby Huey. It's because you literally run into things.
Anyway.
I mean, were you not in the truck when you hit the Dairy Queen building? You better not take that out.
I need everybody to know that I'm glaring intensely at Michael right now.
I remember that conversation too. Oh my God. I was in bed too. No, I wasn't.
It's because you're always in bed.
You heard me?
Yeah.
You're like, I just hit the side of the Dairy Queen. To be fair, the Dairy Queen was Wake Village or was over here on Richmond?
Richmond.
Okay, to be fair, you got to go around the building, and there are like the building poles that protect the building and stuff like that.
And it's this tight.
It's a very sharp
turn.
curve around the back of the building to get on the other side.
And if you go over the turn, then you go over a little cliff into the parking lot next door,
which is like a 5-foot drop.
Yeah,
yeah. It's not just a parking lot. So I'm assuming he was trying to avoid that. But still, we don't call you Baby Huey because your size or shape. We call you Baby Huey because you run into things, because sometimes you really...
My lack of proprioception, I guess. So that's one. Body awareness.
This is going to be a 3-hour podcast like you want it.
God. And then we have the vestibular sense, which is balance and spatial orientation. So very closely related to proprioception.
Yeah.
And then we have interoception, which is sensing internal bodily states. So
like pain inside your body.
Not just pain, but like when you sense, like when you can sense movement in the body, like from food digesting or whatever.
Your stomach growls or something.
Stuff like that. Well, yeah, but that's also hearing things. But anyway, and then you have nociception, which is pain sensing. Mm-hmm. A lot of people think, oh, well, isn't that just feeling? No, it's a different receptor that feels pain from what feels touch.
Yep.
So anyway, we sense our reality through all those senses, or we perceive our reality through all those senses.
Correct. Through the stimulus from the outside environment.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And but our consciousness as it is locked inside our brains, which is actually, there's a horrifying condition that some people have called locked in syndrome, which is where it's like a coma, but in reverse almost. Instead of being in a coma and unable to move, you are unable to move, but you are fully aware.
Ooh, so that's like locked in your own body.
Yes. That is
not being able to express that you're in it.
Right.
So you perceive everything in the outside, but you have no way of communicating.
Exactly. So have you ever like seen the trope or whatever of like, the concept that death is like,
you better kill me if I'm ever like that. You better just figure it out and kill me.
Oh, I know. Me too. Because that seriously, like, that's like my horror movie is like, if you were to die and your consciousness is locked inside your body and can't do anything, you're just trapped there. That's what this sounds like to me.
Because
is that
so for me trope. Though, like, you're trapped in your own mind.
Yeah.
And that's a terrible place to be for us.
I don't know. See, that's the thing. I've always been so creative. I feel like I would, have my absolute panic moment. And then I would be like, okay, let's calm down and figure out how to get through this.
Brandon is sitting there comatose, like in that set, singing show tunes.
I would, yes. Literally. When I read this book, that was why I was like, oh, I could just sing all the different songs that I know in my head.
I tell you what.
No,
kill me.
No, seriously, if that is seriously, like, I'm dead serious. Look at me and pay attention. If that ever happens to me, read to me.
Nope.
Show me movies.
Nope.
Read to me, because eventually I'm going to run out of stuff.
Nope.
My internal playlist is going to run out.
That's nope.
And so I'm
going to
let you sit there. New stuff.
Nope. I'm going to let you sit there and live in that misery.
Well, then you are an awful, awful, horrible person.
We already knew this. That's not a surprise.
Fine. Then tell Thomas to come read to me.
He'll talk your ear off. You'll be sitting in your mind going, please kill me. This guy won't shut up. Please kill me. You'll be giving me them eyes like, please do it. Pull the cord.
Tell him, okay. Tell him to read to me, but tell him to mix it up and don't just make it fantasy all the time.
That's all he reads. I'll have to come in and read some of these other kind of sciencey books.
Yeah. Read me Soul of an Octopus.
It'll be like, you'll be stuck in like vampire and witch world or something with him the whole way there.
Uh-huh.
And you really will be one like, oh my God, please. Either somebody kill him or somebody kill me. One of the two.
Charlotte, Andy, anybody else listening, come read to me something other than fantasy.
Yeah. I'll read you the sciencey stuff.
Okay. I need some good mysteries. You got to give me some mysteries in there. Somebody come read to me.
That you're going to have to sign it out to us. Like in your will, you need to go ahead or something. You better write it down. Just sign out parts.
It's like,
I got science for you. Thomas has fantasy. What is Andy's role? What genre?
Andy, art.
Okay, and then Charlotte
can be philosophy and
Does she like conspiracy theories kind of stuff too?
Yeah, kind of. Not depends.
She could be mystery.
Yeah. Oh yeah, she loves a good mystery. Yeah. Or a bad
or like
horror
a true
movie.
crime stuff.
Oh, Charlotte, we could have bad horror movie every. I mean, I just can't react and talk back to you like I normally do on bad horror movie night. But anyway, now that we've gotten this, thoroughly thought out, this ever happen?
Yes, we have. Now we have Brandon's
knock
plan.
on wood. But yeah, so that's the thing. Locked in syndrome. It sounds like absolute living hell to me. Luca apparently agrees.
He does not like that idea at all.
But so going back to where that all comes from and the fact that perception is reality. So along with that, that means that people who hallucinate, who have psychoses that cause them to hallucinate, that is real.
Yeah, to them.
Yeah. People, so hallucinations, whether due to psychosis or psychedelic, people who are doing psychedelic drugs and hallucinate from that are that's their reality for the duration that they're on that. Is that a high or trip? There we go. I had to get my drug lingo right. But actually, so speaking of psychedelic drugs, the book actually talks about that a lot because they have learned that the things that people who have been on psychedelic drugs talk about are actually a reflection of what is called hyperconsciousness.
Okay. So an elevated state of consciousness?
Yeah, and it's the same sort of consciousness that people who experience mania, like those with bipolar disorder
or schizophrenia and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So any kind of mania also induces this hyperconsciousness. So, which sounds like it would be fascinating to experience, but it's really sort of like overstimulation.
Mm-hmm.
So like if you think of like certain people with autism spectrum disorders
Mm-hmm.
experience hyperconsciousness and hyperstimulate.
I know hyperstimulants for sure.
Yeah. And so, that's being overstimulated, and it's like overloading the circuitry of the brain.
Right.
But anyway, all this goes back to our original question of exactly what consciousness is.
Mm-hmm.
Science actually refers to, or neuroscience actually refers to that as the hard problem.
Like defining what it is?
Yeah, because it's difficult to do so. The theory that makes the most sense to me personally is called panpsychism.
Okay.
And basically that is the idea that consciousness is another fundamental property of the universe, just like mass and energy and charge and gravity,
mm-hmm.
things like that. So that it's one of those things that just naturally exists in the universe, which, like I said, that makes the most sense to me, because when you think about how does consciousness interplay with the world of atoms and quarks and strings and things like that, when you think about the fact that what's happening in the brain is all energy related, like it's electric. Boogie, woogie, woogie. Taking us back to our Xennial roots.
I'll tell you, I told Thomas this yesterday, because like before the show, they had like music playing and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're all on stage back. But then this is before like houses, like it's showtime. We're just waiting on the spotlight to go on so we can see behind stage, and,
mm-hmm.
and the curtains are down, and you don't see us, we don't see you, but we're just in the dark, right?
Yeah.
And so they were playing Funky Town came on yesterday.
No.
And the three older people were sitting on the stage singing it, like backstage.
Yeah.
And McKinley, who plays the younger Fiona, the 7-year-old Fiona, was like,
mm-hmm.
y'all are so weird. And I was like, you just have no idea what people are cool. But to your point, though, about it being a universal thing,
mm-hmm.
And this is my question. Like you said, it's like brain chemistry, like it's all chemicals and atoms and stuff like that
mm-hmm.
as a universal property, right?
Yeah.
Then if that's the case and it's a universal property, then who are we to say that everything that experiences those and is made of the same stuff we are
mm-hmm.
does not have the same consciousness that we do?
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like if it's a universal thing,
yeah.
If it's based on brain chemistry and stuff, dogs have brain chemistry.
Yeah.
They have the same senses that we do.
Yeah.
And so then who is to say that they don't also experience that then?
Well, they do. I mean, they clearly experience consciousness. It's just not necessarily self-consciousness in the way that we know how to test it.
Okay.
What they don't possess is a sense of self, in other words. Again, the way we understand it or the way that we can test it.
Not saying that they don't, just saying that we don't have a way of
monitoring
verifying it.
Verifying. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's, again, this is talking about belief, not science. That's what I believe, is just that it's a different level that we aren't able to, we're trying to relate it to a way that we know we can recognize ourselves through the mirror test.
Yeah.
But, who's to say that, yeah, they don't recognize their reflection necessarily, but their sense of self is internal. It's not based on a visual cue like that.
I would like to say that I believe that Lily Duke and Phoebe do.
Yeah.
But I say that as a parent.
Right.
That I want to believe my kid does that.
Right.
And Lily does respond to the TV, but not to herself in the mirror.
Yeah.
Like you've seen her respond to dogs on the TV or something running across like a horse.
Yeah.
She'll bark at that. But
yeah. Well, and two, when we talk about consciousness, there are levels of consciousness.
Okay.
And it goes along a spectrum that, looks at two things, which is wakefulness
mm-hmm.
and conscious level. So if you consider consciousness on the y-axis and wakefulness on the x-axis, in the bottom left would be your comatose state.
Which would be what 0 is, where X and Y meet.
Right.
Right.
And then just above that would be general anesthesia, which is just according to this is saying that
then anesthesia basically is as close to comatose that you're going to experience.
Yeah. And that's, and they can induce comas.
Yeah.
Through general anesthesia.
Right.
So that's how they do that. And then you go up higher into things like slow wave sleep, light sleep, drowsiness, and then conscious wakefulness. So that's, the
Progression.
progression, thank you, of consciousness through consciousness versus wakefulness.
Right.
But then you have things that are like a high state of consciousness, but a medium to low level of wakefulness, which is like REM sleep when we dream. We're experiencing a sense of consciousness, but we aren't awake.
Okay. So with REM sleep, well, we're cut off from the outside world in REM sleep.
From the outside world, yes.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Your senses are, you don't feel cold. You don't feel, you know what I mean? In REM sleep, you get pulled out of REM sleep. You can be pulled out from those things.
Yeah.
But you don't feel, let's say that a fly lands on your hand. You won't feel that in REM sleep,
Probably not. Yeah. I think it's probably the big five, or it's like the big five are turned off, because just like how we're paralyzed.
Right. That's how we're able to actually enter that mode. Right. We have, and it's not that they're turned off. The brain does not recognize those stimuluses anymore.
Yeah. In favor of what our brain is generating, basically.
Right. But it's, yeah.
So, but that's like when you have the sense to pee, which is not one of the big five, which is what I said. When you have the sense to pee, do you have that? That happens all the time in my dreams. I'm looking for a bathroom.
No, I don't.
Oh, really?
No. And I know that people do that though. And then they end up finding out that they peed on themselves because.
No. I don't pee on myself, but like,
no, I'm not saying you do. What I'm saying though is that like there have been times that I've heard that when you are dreaming and you think you went to the bathroom in your dream, when in fact
you've wet the bed.
Right. Yeah.
No, I will constantly, because I frequently have to get up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom, but
thank you, diabetes.
I will, but I will constantly have dreams where I'm looking for a bathroom or I'm in a bathroom, and like it's because I've actually got to go to the bathroom. And then you have outliers. So REM sleep is one of the outliers that is high in conscious but low in wakefulness.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the things like the locked in state, which is high in wakefulness, low or not the locked in state, a vegetative state, which is low in consciousness but high in wakefulness.
They're awake but have no,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Low brain, what's the
function?
Activity. There we go. Anyway, all that to say that consciousness is experienced in levels,
mm-hmm.
or along a spectrum, let's
mm-hmm.
say. And so, because scientists say that, like small, like microbes and things like that aren't experiencing consciousness because they aren't necessarily responding to stimuli and things like that.
Right.
But again, going back to our, supposition about dogs, it could just be that they're experiencing consciousness at just a very low level,
mm-hmm.
as opposed to not at all. And again, at the end of the day, it all goes back to if any of this that we're talking about is even really happening,
mm-hmm.
or is real, because we're trapped by our own perception. I may be making up this whole world in my head right now, and you're just a figment of my imagination.
Welcome to the Matrix.
Exactly. And there's no way to refute it definitively, because our minds are that powerful in being able to generate
our worlds.
Our world. Yeah. Because essentially, when you think about where is our consciousness placed, we kind of think about it in terms of our field of vision.
Mm-hmm.
And so we think about our consciousness as our sense of self being located, behind the eyes, just outside of the field. We can.
Well, no, hold on. So let me ask you that. Then.
What?
Where, when and I'll ask people that are listening too.
Uh-huh.
When you think of your consciousness,
mm-hmm.
where is that on your body? No, I don't feel that behind my eyes and my brain.
Really?
No,
I do. I feel it essentially like not in the center of my head, but if I were to feel where my consciousness is, where
it'd be the center of your brain, I think, for you.
Yeah.
But I don't feel that way. I feel like it's, and maybe I'm confusing terminology. I feel like my consciousness is different than conscience.
Yeah.
But my consciousness is my sense of self, right?
Yeah.
And so when I think of myself, I think of my center being like where my heart is, the center of my body. That's where I feel like my consciousness is, myself. Does that make sense?
No. Are you but think about what consciousness
I'm not,
is.
I'm not equating it to a soul. I'm not saying that my consciousness is my soul. I'm saying, though, that my consciousness, what makes me me, is not here, but rather here.
Okay.
In the middle of my chest. Like the center of my body, not the center of my brain, not particularly one organ, but the organism, the being. The center is like right here on me, I guess.
Okay.
And so I don't see it as the inside of my brain or my sense of... I don't live up here, I guess. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I just find that I live here. At the center of me, not the center of my brain.
Interesting.
Does that make sense, though?
Not really, but that's okay.
Like if you had a body, right?
Yeah.
And I said, okay, put a circle in the center. Right there.
Yeah, but I don't feel like I'm living from the center out. I feel like I'm living from inside my head. Like when I look at my hand extended out, yes, that's my hand. It is attached to me, but it's over there and I'm over here.
Yeah, but over here, like it could be there or there. Either way, same distance from the hand, the end of the hand.
Well, but that's the thing. Like when I put my hand on my heart like this, I don't feel like my hand is closer to me. I feel like my hand is on my heart, which doesn't feel like my heart. When I think about my heart, I think about my heart being down there, not in here. Like, does that make sense?
Yeah. So your heart is below yourself.
Myself, yes.
Well, that's not how I see myself, though.
Really?
Mm-mm.
I find that fascinating.
And that's what I'm saying. I don't think that every single person on the planet has that same feeling. I think that it's possible that we could feel different things. But again, goes back to what you were saying, perception. Your perception of you is different than other people's perception of themselves.
Yeah.
So it is possible to have it that way, though.
And not again, like you said, though, not in terms of where your soul resides. That's not what you're talking about.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about just like when I think of the center of my body, that's the center of me. That's where I am.
Uh-huh.
I'm, maybe that's the
yeah.
Maybe that's the OCD, though. Maybe that's because it bothers me when things are not symmetrical.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's part of it. Maybe that's
the
symmetry.
Because when Seth talks about, that's his last name, when Seth talks about the location of the self in our bodies, he described what I described, and I was like, definitely. Yeah. And he talked about it like that was pretty much universal. So yeah, that I'm interested now. So yeah, I would love to hear from our listeners. Let's put a poll on Instagram.
Sure.
To see, so look for that poll. Where do you identify yourself, your sense of self as radiating from?
Because like I said, not everyone, and I could be wrong. Everyone may. I just may be different.
Mm-hmm. No, that'd be interesting. Because like if you talk about soul, now for me, the soul is extending throughout the body and even just beyond the body.
Yeah.
Like what some people would call an aura.
Mm-hmm.
For me, an aura is like a soul.
Yeah.
To me. So for me, my soul is
the center of your body. Or aerates from the inside out.
From the inside out.
Right.
Yeah. My full body and then just
from
beyond.
The center.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But that's, like I said, that center, that's where I feel like the center of myself. Like if it's me is not, to me, the brain would be, if I said me is up there, that's lopsided. And this up here, the brain, the feet are further away from the brain than the arms are. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so by having it centrally located, it's equal. So it's a complete.
But then your feet are still farther away from your center than your arms are.
Closer than they are when that's the brain, though.
So it's close enough for you, in other words.
Yes.
So yeah, and just fun terminology also to throw out there for everything. Everything that we're talking about we're discussing meta consciousness.
Yeah.
Which is the awareness of our own consciousness, which is the distinction between us and
everything.
Most other animals. Well, yeah, I don't even think so.
Though the apes do have that sense.
Apes do have
the great apes.
Self-consciousness.
I'll say the great apes.
They have self-consciousness. They are aware of their sense of self. Again, according to the mirror test, the only way we know to really test this in other beings. But I don't think they have meta consciousness where they're thinking about their consciousness.
I don't know.
I mean, could be. I don't know that we have an accurate test for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I do think the apes have a greater sense of stuff than.
Oh yeah, they do. But then another thing, that we can talk about in terms of how this all works and how perception drives our reality and things like that. Think back about 5 years ago or so. You remember The Dress?
Oh, yeah, that's stupid. Is it black and blue or is it
gold and white?
Yeah.
Yeah. Which was it for you?
I don't remember. I don't think I paid attention enough to really even care.
For me, I didn't pay much attention to it because I looked at it and I said,
I think one of the kids asked me the other day, probably about 2 weeks ago, they were pulling up that debate again.
Oh, really?
They're like, Mr. Fultz, what do you think this is? And I'm like,
that old thing again?
Yeah.
Well, no, this time. So go back to that student and say, show me that picture again, because it speaks to this. Because for some people, for me, it was very clearly gold and white. And I never saw anything other than that. There were a lot of people who said, oh my gosh, yes, now I can see it as blue and black or whatever the alternative was. For me, it never changed. And I know for a lot of people who saw it blue and black, it never changed. But that's an example of what we're talking about here in terms of our perception.
Mm-hmm.
It was very obvious for the majority of people that it was this, whereas this for some was gold and white, and others it was blue and black.
Yeah, I just want to point out though, when all that came out, I was like, why is this newsworthy?
Oh yeah, that's true, and that was my reaction. That's
kind of how I kind of was like, this is kind of, I can't believe this is actually even
right. But like I said, for the purposes of our topic today, it's worth re-examining. I think maybe we need to put out a couple of poll questions. Which did you think it was, gold and white or blue and black?
I don't.
Back in the day.
Let's not say we did.
Why not? We could go viral by making that popular.
I
again.
don't think we need to. There are a lot of things that should not be. The 1980s should not be repeated. That poll right there, that thing should not be repeated.
But when so let's say that there were a way to show somebody demonstrably that it could be seen both ways. If you then saw it as blue and black and said, nope, I refuse, that is gold and white, that would then become what is called cognitively impenetrable knowledge, which means that you believe what you initially saw, and you, even being given new knowledge, you refuse to accept anything different, which to me, I've just always thought that was called stubborn. You didn't laugh at my joke. I thought that was funny.
Hold on, I'm typing something for you.
Yeah. Yep.
That's exactly what that is.
That is. That I mean, legitimately, that is.
Your world is perceived.
And you refuse to believe it any other way. Another example of this is one of the topics that we have for a future episode at some point. But that's the oh my God, now I forgot the name of it. The Mandela effect.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You've heard of that, right? We've talked about it. Yeah. So if you're not familiar, the Mandela effect is where the public has a widely misperceived or misremembered memory about something. It's called the Mandela effect because there are a lot of people who have this very distinct memory of Nelson Mandela dying in prison under apartheid,
mm-hmm.
which of course never happened. But yet there are a lot of people who have this distinct memory. A more lighthearted example is the 1938 film Snow White. Is that when Snow White came out?
Mm-hmm. I think so.
A lot of people, myself included, for the longest time, have the memory of the mirror saying, or excuse me, of the evil queen saying, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all?"
Yeah.
But in fact, she says, "Magic mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all?" So much so, we even had a movie that was subsequently made as an alternative fiction approach to the Snow White story, which was called Mirror, Mirror, which was based on a novel with the same title.
Yeah.
So, that's cognitively impenetrable knowledge,
mm-hmm.
which is on a more lighthearted scale, let's say. In some cases, it can be a more dangerous thing, such as like eyewitness testimony in a trial or something. If somebody is shown evidence that contradicts what they believed and they stick by their guns and say, "No, I know I saw him leaving such and such at such and such time and that's cognitively impenetrable knowledge.
Yeah.
And sometimes that can be the result of certain brain disorders as well, which is why it was discussed also in this book. I've talked for a lot. Why don't you tell us a little bit about Soul of an Octopus and how that relates?
Well, I mean, are you finished?
Probably not, but okay. Again, I could talk about this book for days. Honestly, this would be a 3-hour podcast episode if I discussed everything in here that I have tabbed.
Okay, so Soul of an Octopus. So in this one, I will point out, because Brandon was like, so who is the author? So the author itself is Sy Montgomery, and she's not a biologist at heart, or by nature. She's a naturalist. She's a documentary scriptwriter and an author. And so there was that.
Mm-hmm.
She just loved the world of the ocean.
Yeah.
And it picks up with her first interaction with an octopus called Athena.
Okay.
Named Athena. And so that is kind of where she has her first introduction to these octopi, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And to the nature of an octopus, in the brain, for us, the perception of an octopus is that they're dangerous. Think about it. Like in literature, where do you see a friendly octopus? You don't.
No.
In sailors have that thing where an octopus is simply just, it's a dangerous creature.
Monster.
Yeah. And then when you think of like even the Little Mermaid, like all of that is a perception of these things as being bad.
Ursula has 8 tentacles.
Right.
Yeah.
So she starts with Athena. Now I will say that she goes through Athena, Octavia.
I love the names she gives these octopuses.
Well, she doesn't give it to them.
Oh.
She becomes a volunteer at the New England Aquarium.
Okay.
And these are the octopi that they acquire.
I thought it was octopuses.
I have to find out, because it says somewhere in there that they do that differently.
They do what?
The naming of a plural or a singular octopus.
Okay.
Yeah. Second paragraph. I knew little about octopuses, not even that the scientifically correct plural is not octopi, as I had always believed. It turns out you can't put a Latin ending I on a word derived from Greek, such as octopus.
Oh.
So it is octopuses.
Okay.
But the thing is like, so she meets Athena. Athena's probably about a 2.5-year-old octopus. And so these are the giant Pacific octopuses.
Mm-hmm.
It's the one that you basically, when you think of an octopus, it's the one that you would see in your head.
Yeah.
The darker red one that has the really kind of long legs, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay. But so she goes through, I think 4 of them, maybe. Athena's one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, Athena's already 2.5 years old. They live to about maybe 4 to 5 years old.
Okay.
When she meets her.
Okay.
And that's her first kind of, I guess, interaction with them.
Uh-huh.
And so with Athena, she describes her as her first experience with an octopus.
Mm-hmm.
And going back to what people think of octopuses as being fearful, not fearful, but scary. And, she pet Athena and touched her.
Mm-hmm.
And watched her eat. And she goes on to say that, she says, and yet this body, so unlike my own, was responding to my touch like a dog's or a cat's or a child's.
Mm.
Even though her skin can change color and taste flavors, it, like mine, relaxes into a caress. And though her mouth is between her arms and her saliva dissolves fish or flesh, she, like me, clearly enjoys a good meal when she's hungry. She said, I felt as if I had understood something very basic about her at that moment. I didn't know what it was like to change colors or shoot ink, but I do know the joys of gentle touch and eating food when I'm hungry. I know what it feels like to be happy. Athena was happy.
Mm.
And she continues on. Athena, they don't know what happened, but Athena was sick a couple of weeks later, and a week later, and dies. And so the next, she cries. She says, I was robbed of getting to know her.
Yeah.
So Octavia is the next octopus that she comes into. And Octavia is one that they actually catch as a younger octopus that had been in, I guess, the waters off British Columbia. She was caught wild. And so Octavia had the experience of being in the wild. So the changing colors and then the hiding and all those natural things you would learn in the wild.
Yeah.
She came to the aquarium with that.
Yeah.
And some part of it was like, okay, so she addresses it like, so we basically catch this wild octopus, and is it fair to the octopus that now it's no longer a wild octopus? Now
right.
But what they do with the information that they gain from the behaviors of watching and living with them and stuff like that in the aquariums, they apply that to conservation and such like that. And they treat them very well also. So it's not like she was put
in a tiny aquarium.
Correct.
Right.
Correct. And so Octavia is kind of the octopus that goes through the entire book with her up until the very end. Mm-hmm. And so Octavia is one of the first ones that she just kind of bonds with.
Yeah.
So one thing I did learn that octopus can taste you with their suckers.
Oh, okay.
So they reach out, they hug, but when they hug, they're tasting.
They're tasting.
And I don't mean tasting like, I'm going to size you up for my meal. What they're tasting is they can taste your skin.
Yeah.
They can taste your blood through the skin, that the chemical receptors that are given off of your body, and they respond to certain chemical changes. So like in one of the chapters, Octavia, there's a young volunteer at the aquarium and has already had experience with Octavia, and Octavia one day bites her. But they find out that she actually just recently changed her medication. And they're thinking Octavia could taste the change in the medication in her system, which is what caused her to bite her.
And thought it was somebody else?
Or a threat or something like that.
Okay. Yeah.
And it goes on to continue through her exploration with Octavia.
Now I want to know what an octopus bite is like.
It apparently can hurt.
Well, I mean, I'm sure it hurts, but
I mean, they have beaks,
Yeah, that's what I thought.
But they go through. See, I'm going to end up crying just talking about it. I am.
Well, don't give the ending away because I want to read it.
I'm not. But they go through with, Octavia, the entire book, and Octavia's in her little her den in her aquarium cage. And she has a neighbor, a sea star that lives in there with her, which is kind of funny because you can kind of see the relationship between the two.
Yeah.
And again, she explores the brain of the octopus. Now, they do have brains, but it's not a brain as in what we have considered. It's more of neurons. So the cells of the brain.
Yeah.
And these neurons are not just between their eyes. And it's not just between the neurons extend all the way through the arms.
Oh, wow.
To the point where one arm can be doing one thing while the other arm is doing something else, while the other arm is doing something else, while the other arm is doing something else.
Literally the coordination that all humans lack.
Correct. And saying that basically each arm has its own brain because they can all do 8 different things, coordinated and not coordinated with each other, to where, like I said, each arm has its own brain and is determining what it's doing on its own, independent of the other arms.
So is it almost as if, like, instead of the octopus having a localized brain, it's more like their brain takes up their entire body?
Yes.
Or extends throughout their body?
Which is why they have such the heightened sense of everything going on.
Wow.
Which is also why you hear like, oh, octopuses are so smart. That's why.
Oh, wow. Why
they're so good at puzzle solving, because the arm is the one that is doing the thinking. And it's in its own world. It's in its own stimulus, responding to the stimulus of the outside world.
Communicates with the rest of it.
Correct.
Wow.
Correct. And it does go on to talk about,
now I want a pet. I want a pet.
Oh,
octopus.
for sure. I definitely want to hug one, like I do now. After this, I want to definitely hug one. It goes on to the camouflage. Like how that happens, and it talks about the skin and everything like that. And it talks about each of the little suckers. So the third octopus, Kali, was a smaller one that they got, again, wild caught, that came off of the British Columbia coast also. And so they had both of them in, I guess, the aquarium, but you can't put them together.
Okay.
Because one will eat the other.
Oh. So
they're very independent.
Yeah.
They're never, the only time the octopus is ever near another octopus is during mating. And they do talk about that also. She apparently goes to an aquarium, I think in Seattle, and they actually have on Valentine's Day octopus speed dating.
What?
And she talks, it's a whole chapter.
Oh my gosh.
She talks about how the octopus themselves they don't know what's going to happen. So they risk, actually, when they put them together for mating, they risk the possibility of one eating the other one.
Oh.
And so that's why they call it, let me find out, that's why they call it speed dating, because they really don't know what's going to happen at that point. But they talk about how they do it. Like, not have sex, but how they mate. Well, I guess it is having sex.
Generally what we humans like to refer to it as.
Yeah, that's what they're doing. They do a distance mating thing is what they do. To where they basically have both of them in two different cages or two different aquariums next to each other with a combined tube. And they slowly release the barrier between the two in the tube and let the arms go through the tube, and they chemically sense each other. And so rather than, it's an octopus blind date, not a speed date, it's a blind date.
Okay.
But they can see how they're going to respond to each other with very little interaction between the two before they let them go together. Right. And so if there's an issue, they can kind of negate, I guess, damage to one of the other octopuses should there be like a fight or something like that.
Right.
But it does go on and talk about how, so this one, like there were some kids at a field trip that, I mean, it's a big thing. It's a big thing, apparently. Yeah. The PA system in the aquarium starts playing Barry White's I Can't Get Enough of Your Love, Baby.
I know.
Yeah. They set up a step ladder by the tank. And so she's trying to get them together. And it talks to them. It talks about how they mate, and how that happens.
Yeah.
And that it's a very, from the way she writes it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to use the word passionate, but it's very, same kind of emotions happen when mating happens in humans and animals, and so that's just the thing. So anyway, but she talks about that.
Yeah.
She's gone over. So we've gone through Athena, Octavia, Calais, and then what ends up happening is Calais moves tanks and gets out. Yeah. But anyway,
that's what I guess.
And then they get a new one.
Okay.
Karma is the new one.
Karma.
Part of the issue is that, like, when Callie gets out, she was maybe a foot from a tank, and they don't understand why she didn't just go to the tank, because she could have.
Yeah.
So you'll have to read. Like I said, I'm trying not to ruin it, but that does happen. But Karma is the one that she ends with. Octavia does pass away. Just from old age. It's not because. But I did find out also that female octopus, after they lay eggs, and she lays like tens of thousands of eggs. They are the size of a rice.
Oh, wow.
The female octopus dies a few months after giving birth to them, because she basically not raises them, but she protects them without eating. So she starves herself basically, because she never leaves the eggs once they've hatched or once they're out of her body. She just makes sure that the water's flushing over them. She makes sure that they're filtered. She makes sure they are safe, but she never leaves their side.
So she literally sacrifices herself for the sake of guarding her eggs.
Yeah. And to an animal that doesn't have a brain, that's preservation. You know what I mean? But and it goes on to her wanting to learn how to scuba dive and how she's got to deal with her own stuff there, because she wants to enter their world as opposed to them being on our world. Right. But it's a very easy read. It's a very lightning book. As far as consciousness, it really makes you kind of, I guess, evaluate not only our own, but other animals, and how they deal with emotion and how they deal with the sense of other emotion, like feelings and stuff like that. And
well, and it sounds too like it goes back to what I was saying earlier, that just because it's a more simplistic life form, like it doesn't have a brain, doesn't mean it doesn't have consciousness. A lot of scientists talk about simple organisms are just responding to stimuli and things like that, but who's to say that that's not consciousness on some level? It may not be in terms of, like I said earlier, the tests that we assign to measure it, but in its own way, in its own right, that is probably consciousness to that organism, a sense of awareness. Yeah. Quit tearing up over the pictures of the octopuses.
Oh, that's the one she talks about.
Keep it light, keep it light, keep it light.
Kali, you said the names. Aptly named for the Hindu goddess of creative destruction. Anyway, so that it's just it goes into our own evaluation of.
I think that's going to be my New York read. I ordered it on Amazon just while we were talking and downloaded it's apparently free on Audible, which I was like, yeah, you don't have to use a credit. But yeah, the thing that, well, I mean, not the thing, there are so many things that fascinate me about consciousness. One of the things that this book, Being You, talked about was how our consciousness changes over time. And the fact that, they used the quote from Heraclitus that says, no man ever steps in the same river twice, for it's not the same river and he's not the same man.
Yeah.
We've always, Pocahontas taught us that, that you don't step in the same river twice. But, I think it's an important thing to point out that, we are ever evolving. We are always changing.
Yeah.
But the point of that is that think about our bodies. What is it? How many years is it that our all the cells in our bodies have regenerated by?
I think it's like 9 years or something.
Yeah. I know just because, I'm food obsessed. I know our taste buds are completely changed every 7 years, which is why, if you haven't tried that food that you thought you hated 7 years ago, give it another shot. You might think differently.
I hated beets growing up.
Oh yeah. You love those things now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm that way with a lot of foods, pickles, guacamole, lots of different things. Anyway. Yes, our cellular being changes literally over time, but then think about our personalities. Yeah. You've said to me on many occasions, I'm not the same person that I was 20 years ago. Yeah, as a compliment. It doesn't even have to be a span of time like 20 years. It can
a spans.
It can be an expanse or spans. It can be, just as little as a year or less, even sometimes, depending on, your circumstances. But that's something that I think I think it's something that, we should give ourselves credit for, because, often we think of it's difficult for people to change or things like that with elements of the personality. But in reality, it may be that one aspect to their personality that you want to change isn't going to change. Right. But so much more of them is constantly changing. And I think it again, it's just a matter of perception. So when you go back to that concept of we're trapped in our own minds and our perception is our reality, it goes back to, I know I've mentioned this on some episode before, but Plato's allegory of the cave. Yeah. Where the men are locked and chained in the cave and only seeing a shadow of the real world shown upon the wall of the cave, and that's their only sense of the real world. And the real world, quote unquote, what's actually happening is out there. That's the same thing that's happening in our minds. Our senses, our perceptions are the shadows on the cave wall, and we have no way of ever really knowing what is beyond that. Right. That's probably the one, if I had to boil it down to one aspect of consciousness that fascinates me the most, I would have to say it's probably that. Yeah. Just the fact that they are so, our consciousness is so much a part of us and yet so unknowable. And I think that speaks to the fact that it's a humbling perspective for us, because, we think of ourselves as these higher order beings that can have, that are metaconscious, that we think about our consciousness and are aware of it and all this sort of stuff. Whereas Luca here is not. He's just conscious, but he has no sense of self, according to science and things like that. I think that's a really humbling perspective to have, that, okay, we may be aware of our consciousness, but at the end of the day, we don't even know how to define consciousness and really explain what it is.
We really have a very limited understanding on, for sure.
Yeah, that's why I think that's one of the reasons why it's things like that in science that I really enjoy, because it's the things that keep us humble. Because
this kind of stuff, though, there's always been the science versus religion debate. But this kind of stuff is what makes you kind of more of
appreciating both sides.
No. It's almost like, so it's in that book, Finding Darwin's God, to where evolution actually leads to the case of a higher power. It's not a versus, but actually support of.
Exactly.
This kind of thing right here is in support of that higher power.
That's essentially what I was trying to say. Yeah. Because it's, like I said, it's humbling. It brings us back down to reality of, science tries to explain everything, and there's an explanation in science for everything. And Really? Yeah. Well, where's this?
Yeah. No, I get that. I get that.
And I think that's probably my final thought on the topic. What's yours?
hey, I helped you with that final thought. So that's mine too.
Well, no, I meant all of it leading up to that. What I was saying.
I think that the idea of consciousness and it's something you don't really think about in your everyday life.
Yeah.
It's there.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know how to explain it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have proof of it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just one of those things you just have to understand that's there. And
we are daily conscious, but not necessarily daily meta-conscious.
yes,
Mm-hmm.
we don't think about this kind of stuff on a daily basis. Sorry, not everyone does. Some of us do.
Right.
I think you and I think about stuff.
Yeah, we think about stuff way too much.
This kind of stuff. We think about this kind of stuff way too much.
Mm-hmm.
But it lends to, again, who are we?
Yeah.
And, we're not going to, I don't know. We won't find out. Really, we won't find out until
we die.
Yeah, death.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's what I was going to say. You won't find out until death.
No.
So there you go. Die and find out. Let us know what happens. Come back and tell us.
Any additions to your final thoughts that you want to add? From
No.
Soul of an Octopus?
No.
Okay.
I do. I will say I recommend it. If you're looking for a nice, easy read that really kind of makes you think and appreciate a lot of things in the world,
mm-hmm.
especially, if you're an animal lover, definitely read it. And just read it just to find out more about, the soul of animals. Like it really brings down that experience.
Mm-hmm.
That they're not just some mindless, things on the planet. They're filled with a spirit too.
It will be here on Tuesday for me, and I will definitely be
reading
that on the plane.
I'm telling you, anyway.
I definitely, if you're interested in this sort of stuff, I definitely recommend my book, Being You, as well, by Anil Seth.
How recent is that?
Very recent. I think it was 2022.
Yeah, it was highlighted on the shelf when I went to Book People. So
2021. I knew it was post COVID.
Well, I mean, it's definitely still. So that's new science, basically.
Yeah, it is very dense. It's definitely one you have to sit down and really pay attention to, but it is very well written. I will say that.
Yeah, it's not something
it's
not something you could listen to if you do audiobooks while you're vacuuming or cleaning or something.
Yeah, you won't retain what's going on if you do that.
That's why I had to stop it. It's because to truly understand it, I'm going to have to sit down and just focus on it.
Yeah. All right. Well, are we ready for our end of season 1 trivia?
Let's just pull out Jeopardy.
Yeah.
A potpourri one.
Ooh, okay.
That's a catch-all. You want to do that one?
Sure.
Because that one's you could
it's in large font. If you can't read that, then you need a new prescription yesterday.
I need new prescription eyes. Okay. The two basic kinds of saddles are English and this type preferred by cowboys.
Is it American?
Nope.
Oh. I knew an English saddle, but I don't. Oh, Western.
Yes, it's a Western saddle.
Amanda would have been mad if I got that wrong.
What you do to an envelope or the mammal that could balance an envelope on its nose?
Say that again.
Okay, it's two things. What you do to an envelope,
mm-hmm.
or the mammal that could balance an envelope on its nose.
Oh, what is seal?
Yes, that's a seal. Before Jimmy Smits was on NYPD Blue, he got killed in this first episode of this Don Johnson 80s show.
What is Miami Vice?
Yeah, I didn't know that.
I just knew Don Johnson. I didn't know Jimmy Smits was in the first episode.
Well, apparently he doesn't. Yeah, he's not in it for good. Yeah, he's out of there. We'll have to go look at President Santos now.
Yeah,
Miami Vice. That's a West Wing reference, by the way.
Yeah.
A device named for this woman drove around Mars.
A device named for this woman.
A device named for this woman drove around Mars. What's one of the name of the Mars rovers?
Oh, I don't know.
It's two names, first and last name.
What is Sally Ride? I don't know. It sounded like
what? Sigourney Weaver. No, what is Sojourner Truth? Or who is? I didn't know that was a real person.
You didn't?
No.
Yeah.
No. What's she famous for?
In slavery, she was the Anile woman. You've never heard the Anile woman speech?
No.
Oh my gosh, I think that was her speech. I'm pretty sure. Oh my gosh, yeah. Anyway, okay, sorry. So we know who would have won history if we had done that topic instead. Go ahead. Sorry.
Deneb is the brightest star in this constellation, whose name means swan.
I know the star Deneb.
Do you know, while you're thinking about that's Deneb 3 is one of the planets from Encounters at Farpoint.
Oh, maybe that's why I knew it.
I was gonna say that was in. I think that's in. I think that's one of the opening lines. That probably is the opening line of Star Trek: Next Generation of the series when Picard comes through and we've entered the Deneb system. No.
Okay, sorry. Anyway, but Deneb, the actual star, is in this constellation whose name means swan.
Yes. Thank you for reciting the question.
I was wanting to make sure I had it right.
Is. I can't pronounce it, so.
Oh. What is, and I'm guessing it's not in the zodiac.
No, it's not.
What is, I don't know. I got nothing. I can't even think of a constellation other than like Orion that's not in the zodiac off the top of my head. What is it?
Wait, I'm looking up my Star Trek stuff.
Oh my gosh. Just tell me the answer.
Cygnus, Cygnus.
Cygnus. Yeah, I never would have come up with that. Okay. Was that the last one?
Yeah. Yeah, hold on.
Get out of Star Trek world.
No, wait. I think I was right at the first time. I think it is from Encounters at Farpoint. It is. Our destination is the planet Deneb 4, beyond which lies the great unexplored mass of the galaxy.
Okay, great. Hand me the book. Super.
I don't know what I did last night, but I know that.
You were on stage last night.
And welcome to consciousness. That is the reality I live in. Star Trek.
For real. Oh, I opened to a world of art. I should give you that one. Ooh, how about Ensignism?
These all end in ISM?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right. This Jewish movement that began in the late 1800s led to the establishment of Israel in 1948.
Repeat that again.
This Jewish movement that began in the late 1800s led to the establishment of Israel in 1948. Oh, I know this. What is it?
You low because you just looked at the answer.
No, I didn't look yet.
Well, look and tell me. Reread it again.
This Jewish movement that began in the late 1800s led to the establishment of Israel in 1948.
I have no idea.
I know the term, and I know I'm going to know it when I see it, but I cannot. It will not come to mind. Wait, no. Zionism. I think it's Zionism.
Okay.
Now let me check myself. Yes, I was right. Sorry. Copying your term paper directly out of an encyclopedia.
Plagiarism.
Yes. What is plagiarism?
That's what our kids do.
Yeah. One of these can be of fire or by immersion in water during a religious rite.
A baptismal? Baptism?
Baptism. A
Okay.
baptism?
Long day.
Lord, I thought this said Mandalorianism. Manorialism was the economic basis of this system of political obligation in the Middle Ages.
What is the empire? I'm not going to be able to do anything but a Star Wars reference now. Because all I see is Mandalorianism.
Manorialism, as in like
The Maoris?
of a manor. Manorialism was the economic basis of this system
Imperialism?
of, I think so. No, feudalism. Sorry.
Okay.
Feudalism.
Just be glad I got one of the isms.
Yeah. Andre Breton was a founder of this artistic movement in which ideas grew out of the subconscious.
I want to say I think I know this, but the minute you say it, I'm going to go, oh my God. I knew that.
Yeah.
Reread it again.
Andre Breton was a founder of this artistic movement in which ideas grew out of the subconscious.
I don't know it.
It's also another major painter was Salvador Dali, if that helps.
It does, but it's on the tip of my tongue. My tongue's not moving. Impressionism.
Surrealism.
Okay.
No. So the melted clocks and things like that.
Yeah. The stuff I don't like.
The subconscious, dreams, dream world.
The stuff I don't like. Again, remember that art episode we did?
I know. Andy wants to revisit and challenge you.
Oh, no. No.
Look out for that in season 2.
Yeah, we have
another guest.
We definitely were flying her all the way in.
Yeah. Not just for that, but.
No, we are. She's just that special. And so are you, our listeners. We're flying a special guest star in.
Yeah.
To appear on our episodes, on our podcast.
So keep tuning in. Who knows? Maybe one of you lucky 4 could be the next one we fly out.
We'll
to
fly
be
in to Texas. Aren't you lucky?
Our tiny little corner
of the
state. All right. Well, that about wraps it up for this season From Art to Atoms.
That's the Ultimate Curiosity Show. We hope that you actually have been entertained and curious about a couple of things we've talked about.
Yeah, we hope you've enjoyed this crazy ride with us. And we hope that you will tune in again next fall when we bring it back for season 2.
Yep.
In the meantime, have a great week, everybody. Have a great summer, and we'll see you
on
in
the flip
fall.
side.
Bye.
Bye. You went just now. Just now.
I can't even do. I can't. That's how bad my laughs are. I can't even like mimic them after the fact. They just happen.
You've been listening to From Art to Atoms, the Ultimate Curiosity Show, episode number 30. Your hosts are Brandon Shoemaker and myself, Michael Fultz. The show is produced by Brandon Shoemaker and is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, or wherever you get your podcast. Be sure to subscribe to the show to stay up to date on all of our latest episodes and news. If you have any questions, feedback, or suggested topics you'd like for us to dive into, don't hesitate to reach out. You can email us at FromArtToAtoms@gmail.com. We would love to hear from our listeners, and we value your input. Now, don't forget to follow us on social media to stay updated on upcoming episodes and behind-the-scenes content. You can also find us on Instagram and YouTube at From Art to Atoms. If you enjoyed today's episode, please take a moment to rate and review us on your favorite podcast platform. Your support helps us reach even more interested minds like yours. Thanks for tuning in this season, and as always, stay curious.